Hail the Emperor and welcome back. It's been quite some time and there was a good reason behind it. Kind of. I'm going to explain it quickly and then we can move on to the chainsword. So first of all, the new mic. Hopefully this time it's going to be even better because I've been just recording for like 10 minutes and then I figured I put the sensitivity all the way down, which is fine. Second of all, there is now this amazing setting or like background or whatever. The only thing I need to figure out still is like you can't really see the War Master, which I'm a bit sad about because it's the War Master for like if you ever wanted to know what my favorite legion is, it's Luna Wolves. So yeah, it's my baby. But at least you can see Loken, which is like, God, don't make me start. Or like I shouldn't be saying God, I should be saying Holy Emperor.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, welcome. Also, the third thing is I have finally prepared a script. Let's see what the chainsword is like, how we made it, and yeah, the final reveal later. Or you can just skip it. Please don't, but you know. I think we can continue. So last time the chainsaw was here, I was a bit upset, okay, more like angry, because it snapped, right? We were taking it out to prime it and the whole thing just snapped because it's just printed and it wasn't really supported, which obviously was a mistake, but what can you do? We fixed it and it's fine now. The chainsword, our soon-to-be masterpiece, snapped. See the script? Broken in two halves, there wasn't much to do other than going back to the drawing board and thinking. And think we did. Metal sheets, holes, drilling, and boom! We're back on track, and this was really a we. Because I can paint, or I think I can paint, but mechanics, yeah. Now, we obviously didn't film any of this, because it was like a heart surgery. Dramatic, epic, with zero rooms for errors and cameras. And the risk of losing the patient was enormous. But we didn't. Like Phoenix, the sword was reborn, and I could go back to adding details. First, I had to sketch out the design. I had a vague image in my head, knowing only that I wanted it to be white, bulky, and heavy, just like Warhammer. And I think I achieved all of those and more. Resin Printer was really helpful with this, and not only did it get me the little sidebars, little roses for the final details, and most importantly, skulls. Now, that was the best random decision I came to. These are the skulls I'm talking about, and I'm sure it's on the video already, but I have like thousands of these. Okay, it's more like hundreds, but you know. It's these teeny tiny skulls that I can print in various sizes, and they are absolutely perfect. Not only for the final details, like on the chainsword, when you look at it, it's like on the blade, or like the thing that's covering the blade, and it's on the handle itself. And like every time I felt like it's missing this little detail to like push it forward and make it more Warhammer-like and more pretty and everything, I just put the little skulls down. And believe me, it's so worth it. At least in my opinion, but you know, I'm not really taking other people's opinion in this case. So, you know, there's skull everywhere in Warhammer. So it's like here and also here. And Loken has thousands of skulls and I just love it. Moving on. Next step was the chain part of the chainsword. The paint job on it is really simple. Vallejo, is it Vallejo, I think, or like Vallejo, I don't know. Gunmetal metallic color, silver highlights, and repeat for every single one of the 200 and something links. No point in making it too perfect, because it's going to spin anyway. I've just went over the spikes and I was like, fine, it's going to be fine. And you can't really see it, but it spits, so. the golden eagle. It's written in the capitals, so I'm yelling. Sorry. This one, again, was kind of stressful and absolute treat. I knew any mistakes would be very visible, so it had to be perfect, and it was therefore easy to put away. Because, and I think, yeah, it's not here, I was like the golden eagle was pretty much the first thing printed out, and it was the last thing painted. Because it's the tip, it's the thing everyone will be focused on when looking at the sword. Like, it's the first thing you see, it's the eye catcher, and it's huge and it's golden, so of course you're going to be looking at it. And because it's golden, and when you put the metallic color on it, then any kind of imperfections makes a shadow, and when you have shadow there, you can see the imperfections. So that was kind of stressful. And yet, as the first stroke of the golden color hits its surface, I was just so happy and carried away. There were only 3 steps for this: golden base, dark wash in multiple layers, and silver highlight. Again, big thanks to the lore master, because I was like asking him, like, how do you make a golden color so pretty and how do you make it pop? And I never thought you put silver highlights on it. Like, it's obvious when you know it, and it's like so hard to figure out on your own. I don't know. And 30 minutes later, the biggest detail was done. I would later address the inner part, making it clear, and that's different story. Meaning, when you put it on the sword, there's like the teeniest gap, and by teeniest I mean it's like 5 centimeters or something, and so later I just put foam clay on it and made it golden, so no one really sees it. So pro tip, just hide your mistakes. Next step, slowly and carefully moving to the body of the sword, I started with some metallic wash to turn the black base into something a bit more believable, less plasticky, building up my confidence. And it was just laying on my table. It took pretty much the whole table for itself, and I was like, that's obviously plastic. What am I going to do about it? And you're probably not going to believe me when I tell you I had to repaint it. Like, I started with a small part, and I took a metallic color and I diluted it and used it as a wash. And it looked good from a distance, but up close it like looked the sword is made of glitter, which was kind of fun but also very not realistic. So yeah, figure out that part took some while. But when I did, it looks kind of convincing. Depends on how much time you spend looking at it. The first layer of white graced the sword. Now, working with white is a bummer. There needs to be multiple layers. You need patience, good music or podcast, and just a lot of time. But I've done it before, and making this armor I will again. So people are asking me on Instagram, like, why am I doing the armor white when I'm constantly bitching about it being white? And I can tell you why. Because look at the result. Like, it's pretty. That's the reason. It's pretty. There are only short clips because A, I was working on the white part after work, and I was too tired to film anything, meaning I got back from work, I was sitting here for like an hour or two, and then I went, have dinner and watch something on YouTube. And B, there was a time I was pretty sure I will scrap the whole white base thing and paint it black. The white base was horrible. That's what I'm trying to say. And only when applying shadows, I was like, okay, this might not be such a disaster. So just trust the process. If you're working with white, definitely just, let it do its thing and just trust it. To get it where I need it to be, I used beige, brown shadows to give it some shape, but also make the sword look a bit dirty and worn, and just like something you might actually see on a mini, because there I feel like two kind of approaches to this. You either go with white and then use a gray palette to make it like shadow, or like to create shadows and imperfections and like battle damage, or you can go with beige, and I think that looks a bit better. Like this is already done and you can see like it's obviously still very white, but it looks kind of like worn, so that's just my personal preference. Dry powder pigments helped a lot here. I love how easy it is to work with them, and they add the teeniest layer of texture, and I'm all for it. Also, that's what I'm using to cover up my mistakes. So when there's a transition, or the shadow doesn't look as good as I wish, or it's just not blended enough, I take the dry powders or like pigments, and I just stab it with the brush on it, and it like actually looks good. Also, I'm going for the illusion that this sword A looks kind of realistic, and B looks like something that's already seen battle. Not like when you just print the swords and they look absolutely amazing, don't get me wrong, but they're very, very plasticky and you know it's been just printed out, right? And this one is more like a mini when you paint it and you add all the little shit and details and make it like kind of realistic. I'm not that good at it yet, definitely not on the big scale, but you know where I'm going. Next! The scroll. Oh my holy Terra. That was my favorite part. Again, there was a point at time I wasn't really that sure about it and thought it would be too much, but the sword needed a name. We picked it on Instagram. Thank you so much to everyone who voted. There were like 2 or 3 possible names and we've picked Ivory Battle. And like that name again is absolutely amazing. It's like the sword is ivory, the whole sister is going to be like white / ivory, and the battle just adds to the rose, it's the sacred rose. Like I just love it. I can't tell you how much I love it. I did a quick test layer with some brows to imitate the parchment and lettering to get the right feel, and it was there. Time to try the chain. There were some problems, like tweaking was needed, but look, it spins and it's magnificent. Again, that was kind of, we put the chain in and I was starting to paint the whole sword, and we were like, maybe we should test it in case like something happens. And guess what? The engine broke. Like there's this little, I have no idea what the word is in English for it, but like when you have a motor you need to have the long thing it's going to spin around. I know it's riedel in Czech, but no idea what it is in English, so it's probably going to be somewhere in here. And that shit broke, so we need to take out the motor and like glue it back together and make sure nothing happens. And then we added the WD-40 so it would be like lubricated and everything. And then we try it again and again, and we also figure out it needs to like run for like 10 minutes continuously so that the pad like gets, I don't know, cleared, I guess, if there were like bits of glue or maybe some imperfections from the print. So yeah, that like took some tries to just get the chain right. Yeah. Where was I? Okay, back to painting. There were some problems. No, that's the Chainsword. Mixing white and brown violet. That's the name of the color. It's confusing me as well. Like, why do you call brown a violet? I don't know. I know, sounds weird. That's my note. I got the parchment shade I could use for the ribbon or scroll or whatever you want to call it. Working fast and constantly adding more paint on top of the wet coat, I got nice gradient. At this point I've been working with the Vallejo colors for quite some time and was very confident the whole paint wouldn't crack up later. Don't ask me about the science behind it, I just knew it would be fine. Meaning I was working with it like when you have oil paints, so you put the base layer down and while it's still wet you add more and more colors, like different gradients, different colors and everything, and because it's wet you can like really make the smooth transition of colors. I was working the same way with these paints and I'm so happy it didn't crack up because I don't really know how it works. I know when you do it with different colors it happens like it's wet, like really wet, and you just add more and more and more, and then when it dries it cracks up. So I don't know why. I just learned to use the colors, I guess. And once the parchment part would dry up, it was time for the letters. Nothing complicated here. Thanks to them being above the rest, it's really easy. 1 or 2 coats of black and done. It's fun to watch letter by letter. Meaning it was really satisfying, at least for me, to like watch back how I painted the letters, because one by one, you know, they just appeared. Almost there. Gold, dark wash, silver, and the best details are done. Gluing time! Just to look a bit professional, I tried measuring out the distances between the skulls and like pretending I actually cared about symmetry. I don't. That's also when I just, you know, turn away from the sword. From now, I really love asymmetry, so if something isn't really like centered, I don't care. I attached the skulls. Again, a very stressful part of the process because super glue sucks and likes to ruin the paint underneath it, so 0 mistakes allowed. Next, a little work on the edges, imitating the metal edges, and on to the next stop, gluing the imperial eagle. It's such a tiny yet important detail. Suddenly, it's just not sword, it's a huge part of lore. Adding the little knob, landmine, and done. So yeah, again, for me this definitely like helps. The same thing is kind of here when I edit the Rogue Trader symbols and the eagle. God damn it. I can't work with mirrors. The little eagles, because suddenly it's not just a sword painted golden, it's a part of Imperium of mankind and it's part of everything we love here, so big steps. Right, and also the knob, it used to be a landmine, but I think it looks amazing like this. Adding the big scroll was a different kind of challenge. I had to turn the sword multiple times and I was also on the ground for this part. Don't think about anything weird. Use your imagination for this. Last step in this gluing process were again the little skulls. And once again, Wasn't sure, but once in place, it just gives the right Warhammer feel, at least to me. Like, again, without it, it's kind of empty, and the same can be seen all the way around here. Like, if the details aren't here, or if you have this without the little skulls, even the armor a bit there above me, it's, I don't know, it just feels empty, and to me it doesn't really scream Warhammer, or it's more like a Tau, I'd say, or maybe Necrons. I'm not sure if they have skulls, I think not, only like the little glowing things. So, you know, to get the right Imperium kind of feeling, add skulls. And that's almost it. I was thinking for the hand grip fox letter, yeah, that's probably how you pronounce it, might work well. And it does, feels comfy, looks really good, and it's so simple, just wrap it around. I did use a better method on the neural whip. When you look at it, this is like the whole thing is covered and you can't really see where the letter ends, and letter, it's probably the right pronunciation. You can't really see where it ends, and it's just there. On the sword you can kind of see there's a layer of, what is it, fabric underneath the leather. So not that pretty, but also kind of cool and super comfy, which is the important part. And here it is, the ivory petal. Fortune Mars traveled the galaxy through and through to end up here in my filthy little hands. Okay, let's try it like this. So the ivory petal is done. I was thinking, since, you know, all of this is here, I could at least, or like I could also take the sword here, because you're going to see the final thing, but scares me every single time. But anyway, this is the sword, this is what it looks like. It's huge. It can barely fit. Like, you can see the eagle is pretty much the first thing you see, like, coming at you. Then there's the huge ivory petal thing, and then you just go onto the handle. And I absolutely adore the handle, because it's like, for it being a white sword, there isn't really that much white. There are also all the little details, and I just broke off one skull, which is fine. I'm gonna glue it together, or like I'm going to glue it back later. But what I wanted to show you is that's like the whole reason why this thing even exists, because I want to just hold it and listen to this. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Hope you like this thing as much as I do, because I absolutely love it. The camera is slowly falling, so I hope it's not going to fall like all the way. But if you enjoyed it, you know, more things are coming, like the whole armor, and what are we working on? Oh yeah, the neural whip, and also Blade of Lyre, because if you didn't know, aside from horrors, I absolutely love Fulgrim and the other traitors, and also Gilliman and Corax. Okay, I love all the Primarchs, but the thing, like the blade, it screwed up everything, so I definitely want to do it. And I was thinking it would be fun, since it was also mentioned in the books. Not only does the sword talk, so I wanted it to talk to me, which is kind of creepy and we're going to have to put a little speaker inside of it. But I was also thinking it should vibrate because of Slanesh and Fulgrim and all children of the Emperor looking for pleasure and new sensations and everything. So that's going to be fun, hopefully. And we still need to finish the armor. And also Servascal, because there's nothing worse than playing with wires and making it move. Like, maybe. But yeah. Thank you, and see you in the next one, hopefully. Bye!